salutations. This is Tickets Please Reviews. And I've decided to not only break up the Oscar race into two distinct videos, I've also decided to change the name. What used to be known as OscarWatch will now be known as the Great Oscar Race. This video will cover the Big Six, Best Picture, Best Director, and the 4 acting races. The next video, which will happen in the next few days, will cover all the other categories except the shorts. I'll wait for the official shortlist coming on December 21st to start that coverage in earnest. But let's start with Best Picture. A Redditor by the name of NinjaBoy333 has come in with a statistical analysis on how the recently released top 10 list for the National Board of Reviews, or the NBR, and the American Film Institute, or AFI, correspond with the nominees for Best Picture. Most of the time, the NBR Best Picture gets nominated. But its track record for films that only show up on their list, getting a nod for Best Picture is less than 10%. Almost 2/3 of the time, the films on AFI's list do get nominated for Best Picture. For films only chosen by the AFI, it's a coin flip probability that it ends up in the final 10. Films on both lists are likely to make the Best Picture field, but there's usually one omission, and there is a 1 in 6 chance that a film that misses both makes the cut for Best Picture. Doing the math on that, we're talking anywhere from 1 to 3 possible nominees that don't show up on either list but end up here. Now, with those stats out of the way, let's examine how they affect the Oscar 2024 race itself, starting with the films on both lists. NBR's Best Picture is none other than Killers of the Flower Moon. That seems like a very safe bet to make the cut for Best Picture, as we got acting contenders Lily Gladstone, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Robert De Niro that are in the mix for their categories. That's joined by Oppenheimer, which has Cillian Murphy and Emily Blunt in the acting race. Then we can add Poor Things, which has Emma Stone and Mark Ruffalo in play, and Barbie, which has Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling in the mix as well. Also likely at this point are The Holdovers, which has Divine Joy Randolph and Paul Giamatti as contenders, and Maestro, which has Bradley Cooper and Carey Mulligan as hopefuls. The one I think that is likely to miss appears to be Past Lives, which does have Greta Lee and John McGarrell, but both are feeling like long shots at this point. The AFI-only contenders are definitely an interesting mix to be sure. I think it's likely that American Fiction makes the cut with both Jeffrey Wright and Sterling K. Brown as possible contenders. And May December makes sense as well, with Charles Melton becoming a real threat at a nomination, and both Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman also could be considered contenders as well. Although Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse has some technical possibilities, I think this may be one of the final cuts. And let's take a quick look at the NBR only list. I don't think any of these films make the cut, although I would love to see Hayao Miyazaki get a career nomination for Best Director. I don't think The Boy and the Heron shows up for Best Picture. Ferrari will get a few technical category nods and perhaps one for Penelope Cruz, but Best Picture might be a bit of a reach. And unless you think that Zac Efron can submit enough voters to get an Oscar nomination for Best Actor, The Iron Claw probably will not make Best Picture. So that also leaves us room for 1 to 3 surprises a year. One of these, I think, has to be the foreign film nominee in the field. Neither Anatomy of a Fall or The Zone of Interest made the cut in either list. Other films that got left out include All of Us Strangers, The Color Purple, Napoleon, Naiad, and Priscilla. So how does this affect the Best Picture field for early December? I'm glad you asked. I got the top NBR film, Killers of the Flower Moon, at the number 1 spot, swapping places with Oppenheimer, which was my number 1 in November. Barbie and Poor Things swap as well, with the Greta Gerwig film now in 3rd. and the Yorgos Lanthimos film in fourth. The Holdovers remain in fifth place, and Maestro does rise a spot to number 6. One of those 6 films is likely to win Best Picture. Now, dropping a spot to 7th place is American Fiction. Apparently, this is a film that comes from Amazon, and I can't wait to finally get a chance to see it when they decide to finally release it. Breaking into the top 10 as well is May December from Netflix, as I think the Todd Haynes film could be the unheralded film that breaks through. And by the way, in case you're wondering, Netflix has 2 films in here, the other being Maestro. And holding stay in the last couple of spots would be France's Anatomy of a Fall and A Color Purple, which at bare minimum should give Danielle Brooks a nomination for Supporting Actress. There's a real possibility that both Taraji Henson and Fantasia Barrino makes the cut in their fields as well. So who didn't make the cut here? Past Lives was the A24 film that was holding steady, but something tells me it's going to probably end up getting passed by early January. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse will have to sell for maybe a few nominations outside of Best Animated Feature. Maybe Part 3 will finally allow them to break through here. And then you got Michael Mann's Ferrari, Sean Durkin's The Iron Claw, Miyazaki's The Boy and the Heron, Jonathan Glazer's The Zone of Interest, and Andrew Haig's All of Us Strangers round out the field of those that missed out. Now we take a look for Best Director, where there appears to be too few spots for a very talented group of people. Continuing to lead the way is Christopher Nolan, who likely prevailed for his first Oscar. But don't sell Martin Scorsese short, though. He's right there, and I can see him getting a second Oscar if Killer Moon starts to take control of the field. The other 3 right now are Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, Greta Gerwig for Barbie, and Justine Treat for Anatomy of a Fall. In the second tier of contending directors, we got Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest, Cord Jefferson for American Fiction, Alexander Payne for The Holdovers, Bradley Cooper for Maestro, and Blitz Bazawule for The Color Purple. And then we take a look at Best Actress. Nothing has changed much in her top 3 as Lily Gladstone from Killers of the Flower Moon is winning some early critics awards so far. Her top contenders remain Emma Stone for Poor Things and Carey Mulligan for Maestro. The 4th and 5th spots have flipped since last month, as Margot Robbie from Barbie is now number 4, and Kaylee Spani from Priscilla is in my 5th and final spot. Just behind them, you have Fantasia Barrino from The Color Purple, Sandra Huller from Anatomy of a Fall, Annette Bening from Naiad, Natalie Portman from May December, and Greta Lee from Past Lives. A talented group of actors who could have been the final 5 depending on how things go between now and January 23rd when the nominations are announced. Best Actor is a bit more fluid, as Bradley Cooper from Maestro has taken the lead from Cillian Murphy from Oppenheimer. Could it come down to makeup again like it did last year? Stay tuned. Leonardo DiCaprio remains in 3rd place as Paul Giamatti rises to number 4, and Jeffrey Wright from American Fiction stays at number 5. The second tier of Best Actor contenders begins with Colman Domingo from Rustin, who was last month's number 4. Consider the drop due to a blend of fading relevance for the film and the very real fear of double dipping when he's up for supporting actor for The Color Purple. It could well mean that he doesn't get a single nod next year. Andrew Scott from All of Us Strangers holds steady, followed by Anthony Hopkins, Matt Damon, and Adam Driver. A strong mix of Oscar veterans and newcomers alike. Divine Joy Randolph remains at number 1 for Best Supporting Actress for The Holdovers. Her top challenger is now likely to be Danielle Brooks from The Color Purple. Emily Blunt from Oppenheimer slides a notch to 3rd place, and rounding things out are Julianne Moore for May December and Taraji P. Henson for The Color Purple. On the outside right now are Jodie Foster for Naiad, America Ferrera for Barbie, Penelope Cruz for Ferrari, Sandra Hoer for The Zone of Interest, much like Domingo. I've you notice that she's also in the Best Actress mix for Anatomy of a Fall. I think things could well turn out where she ends up getting shut out of the Oscars this year as a result of that. And Rosamund Pike for Saltburn. Much like Best Actor, the contenders from 6 to 10 blend experience with the Oscars with newcomers. And you notice a heavy theme of ours for Best Supporting Actor, such as my pick to win right now, which would be Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer. He's followed closely by Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon over in third, Ryan Gosling for Barbie in second, and Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things. Breaking things up in fifth place is another critical favorite, Charles Melton for May December. He plays the December part of the relationship with Julianne Moore. Only number 6, William Dafoe for Poor Things, has been in the Oscar arena for the second list of Best Supporting Actor contenders. That field's rounded out by Sterling K. Brown from American Fiction, Domingo for The Color Purple, Dominic Sessa for The Holdovers, and Glenn Howerton for Blackberry. And that will wrap up the early December look at the Big Six. I will leave a link for Ninja Boy's article and his podcast in the description. Part 2 containing the other categories will happen in the next few days. We probably will do another set of videos in late December. Tell me what you think I got right, wrong, and what I got missed. This is Tickets Please Reviews, and the booth is now closed.